Smell really turns me on, actually. Like, before the touching, I would say the smell of a person, the way they smell when they take off their clothing, like, that really makes me like warm here, and I'm like ready to go. Like, I want to be fucked. like really, like, straight away. Yeah, I would say smell is super important. Other things that are important for me is the way someone's speaking to you, the tone of their voice. Something that really turns me on is when someone speaks really slowly. That immediately... I would say the tone of a voice, the pace at which someone's talking really turns me on. If someone is talking slower, that really makes me, like, gets me going. And if they're talking quicker, I get a sense of a rush from them, and I wonder if they're not wanting to, like, explore things, you know? Smell and tone of voice are very important. I would also say the way someone looks at you. It depends. Someone can look at you softly, and that's a turn on, but then someone can also look at you with, like, sort of these animalistic eyes, and that's also quite hot. Gauges from person to person and what you're feeling in the moment. You're not going to want the same thing you wanted yesterday. You know, you don't want repetition. No human being enjoys repetition. It's not possible, unfortunately.
Honestly, compliments. I get off of compliments so much. Like, if a guy compliments me, I'm like, oh my god, I'm so great, I'm the greatest, and I wouldn't say I turn myself on, but kinda in a way. Like if my makeup is done and if my outfit's good, I'm like, oh god, I would fuck myself. I mean, you know, it's like sometimes, like, literally anything can turn me on. Honestly, I think you can get turned on by literally anything if you just think about it in a certain way. You can literally sexualize everything. But yeah, something, compliments, definitely. Like, apart from physical touch, yeah, compliments, really. Like, if a boy compliments me, I'm like, oh my god, I want to have sex with him. Because like, it boosts my ego so much, and like, it makes me feel so powerful. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm great, I can do this, and I should have sex with this person. What turns me on really is like compliments. Yeah, I love compliments, but sometimes, like, I'll just be looking at my boyfriend and he's like not looking at me, he's just doing his thing, and he's like just doing whatever he loves or something, like playing video games or something, and I just look at him and I'm like, oh my god, that's so sexy, you know, like he's just being himself, and I'm like, oh my god, I want to fuck this man. Yeah, just sometimes just talking or like eye contact, like when people look, like, no, not people, when my boyfriend looks me in the eye, like, it turns me on so much, like, especially like if we're in a room full of people and like he's just looking at me straight in the eye, I'm like, oh, this is so sexy. Like, eye contact is such a turn on for me.
Okay, what turns me on from a person is that, I'm just thinking right now, is when they're really interesting, they like know what they're saying. If someone's talking to me, right, and I'm gonna have sex, I know I'm gonna have sex with them, and what will turn me on is just like their energy and like, you know, what they're saying, and like them just being sexy and stuff. Like, yeah, of course, like stuff like that, you know.
For me, it's the person. If I like the person, then nothing else really matters.
A really good conversation could be amazing, and it can be, you know, like some, like a flirtation conversation or something that has elements of sex in it. But just the feeling that you can really connect with the other person and you're on the same kind of wavelengths, and the conversation is interesting and is engaging. Because how many conversations you have with people where you're like, when is this gonna end? You know, like, oh, I'm bored to death. So it's rare to find, but I think when you do find somebody that just you can just like with, and it feels natural, it flows, it just feels like it goes well together, then that's that's really interesting, and that can be quite arousing even sometimes. Like I say, like sometimes the sex doesn't start in the bedroom. It might start in the morning with just a simple conversation or a simple look, and then even if the sex happens 7 hours later, it was initiated. Yeah. Well, and like throughout the day, you have something to think about. Like, yeah.
Your thoughts on sex without love?
I don't think that it's possible. Like I can't imagine having sex regularly with somebody and developing no feelings for them. Like if it's one time, then fair enough. Like if you just want to have sex with somebody because they're hot or because you want to, like whatever, it's not kind of like, oh, I have to love them kind of thing. But if you're regularly having sex with somebody, like say on a weekly basis, and you're talking, and yet you pretend that there's no feelings there, I just don't think that it's possible. You're not a robot. I mean, maybe for some, but for me personally, I just don't think that's possible at all.
Well, I feel like sometimes people just want to have sex. They don't want to have to do with anyone romantically, or where their emotions could get hurt. So they just, they just have sex.
It's fun until it's not. Like, sex without love. Honestly, it's like, I enjoy it, but like, you really have to keep in mind that it's just sex, because it's so easy to get wrapped up in saying, oh, this is love, when it's not. But yeah, it's like, it's a fine line between no feelings and big feelings, Sex without love, it can be fun, but yeah, when there's no love, like, you really have to put boundaries and stuff, because if you don't, like, you can catch feeling easily, and yeah, I think it's really fun to have sex without love, but it's so much better when you're in love with a person, because it feels more like passionate, it's better. And when you have sex without love, the person sometimes they just fuck you and leave, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
I would say that sex without love is sometimes more intimate, because when you have that initial hookup with a stranger and you know you're never going to see them again, you can let your guard down and speak to them and feel free to share your deep thoughts, because you know they're not going to judge you, because you can make the choice to move on after that. We often don't tell people things we want to when we spend more time with them, because there's more judgment that comes from people that are closer to you. I would say sex without love is very important for finding love, not necessarily with that person you're having sex with, but for understanding the difference.
Well, I think it's pretty common in the modern life. It's becoming like a trend of people who is more into start a relationship with them rather than establish a relationship. And I personally found myself quite pathetic when I'm in that kind of situation.
So I think it happens a lot. I mean, because loving somebody, I think it's not easy. It's not easy to find, and sometimes you don't even know, right? But like, people have sex without that, or maybe they think they have it, but then they do it anyway, and then discover that they actually don't love each other. But I think it's probably a lot of sex that happens might not be with love.
Okay, big question. I've been recently having sex, just normal sex, and it's fucking boring as fuck. I'm like, oh, is this it? Like, you're not biting me, you're not like kissing me, you're not strangling me. That's boring. Like, I do like sex with like a bit of love, a bit of emotion, you gotta feel it, that's going in there and out, like USB in, USB out, same shit, so you gotta feel it. I definitely love to get some like, full freedom, expression, like, you know, get all of that sweat and all of that, you know. So yeah, I don't. What was the question again?
What are your thoughts?